Can you give me your 10-second pitch?
So Algolia is a nested search API for developers. So we allow them to have a Google search experience on their website. We have customers like Vivo, Periscope, Livestream, and we handle about 10 billion API, search API per month. We have users in more than 100 countries, more than 1,300 users, and machines, servers in 36 data centers worldwide.
So more than 3 years ago, you started with Nicolas, you are two co-founders.
Yeah.
Both of you are tech people. You met at previous...
Oh yeah, so we met together, it was in 2004. We worked together at this moment. We worked later on in another company called Exalit that was developing a search engine. And yes, we know well, and we have kept the contact during all those years.
You started working together? You were working in the same team at Exalit, for instance?
Yes, yeah, we were in the same engineering side of the company.
Okay. What made you believe that he was the right guy to start with?
I think it's really key to know well someone to found a company together. And even before starting the company, we discussed a lot about the culture and why we want to found a company. What is the final objective and what is the culture we want to have. So even if we know each other pretty well, we spend a lot of time to discuss the culture we want to have in the company, to be sure we are 100% aligned before even starting.
But when you talk about the culture with someone, you won't say, okay, let's talk about the culture today. You will talk about these little details that will make the culture.
Exactly.
So can you give me some insight about, for you, what was important through your eyes that would make sure that you would be aligned with Nicolas?
Yeah, so I think most of the things come from previous frustration or previous example of company that we want to avoid or do differently. We have read several articles or books that make us aligned on it, and we discuss about ownership. Who ourselves in a company want to work as an employee, as a founder, and want to keep at scale. Because it's easy to work with a lot of responsibility and ownership when you are two. But when you are in a big company, having the impression you own your topic and you are not frustrated by a decision to wait for the management and so on, is something completely different. So it was one of the main topics we discussed.
So to keep the ownership on the product.
Yeah, on the product, on the team, and make everyone own the company and be able to take decisions without having to wait for the management, for example.
Okay, and today what does it mean in terms of organization?
In terms of organization, it means we are more a flat company without intermediate management, and we have a kind of temporary organization depending on the project. And for each project, we have someone which is owner of the project that get a lot of feedback from the team and move forward on his project.
Okay. The feedback, are you all based on Slack
It's one-on-one feedback plus Slack because we are distributed, so a lot of feedback are asynchronous via Slack. But it's also one-on-one feedback, and the form of the feedback is less important than having feedbacks.
Okay. Can you go back through this first moment, the first 6 months of Algolia, when you started to go from, okay, let's go build Algolia and the MVP and raising fund. How has it been? How did you work together, and on what did you focus first? What were you trying to prove?
Yeah, so we first have built a prototype, which was actually not the same product we built today. We have tried to talk to as many people, try to sell it, try to get as many feedback as possible, going to conference, talking to as many people as possible. And what we have discovered is that all the guys loved the product we have built, but the market was not really there. As just the amount of money they were agreed to pay for the product. So we decided to migrate to the current product we sell, which is an online API, because of the feedback we got during all those meetings and discussions with a lot of people. Because even if we know well the domain, we can learn a lot of things.
But can you explain like the difference in the shift exactly? Because it means what you were pushing for people to go on Algolia, whereas right now you move to the API ID. That's the shift.
Yeah.
Okay, basically. So rather than bringing everybody on Algolia, putting it on their own software.
Yeah. The first product was an offline SDK, so it was something we were selling to developers to index on their mobile devices.
Yes.
And now we have an SaaS offer, so it's an engine which is on the cloud, and people use us as an API.
Okay. And this shift, when did it arrive? After?
The first prototype was ready in September, so it was 2012, not 13, and we have done the shift in December. So it was pretty quick after discussing with a lot of people, seeing the budget they have for such a thing, we have decided to switch.
Who did you talk with? Developers from where?
Developers, agency, big companies, as many people as we can actually. So we have tried all your network, use all your network, go in a lot of different conferences, and just get as many feedback from as many different profiles as possible. Okay,
and it has never been a problem for you to sell, to pitch when you're most on the product and on the tech part?
That's a good question. I think the way we pitch has evolved a lot. It was really a technical pitch at the beginning more than a product pitch, and it has evolved a lot depending on the people we were talking to. And also depending on the experience, because the more you learn what is the key differentiator you have for your product, the better you pitch actually. The thing you have imagined at the beginning is maybe not the most important thing and relevant for a pitch.
Algolia is very obsessed by making the product better and better. That's why it's successful. And we love to use it. The experience is really amazing. So even if in our product, of course, at the family, we put it everywhere. How does it work to be obsessed by the product? I mean, how do you organize a team around the product? Like everyone is dedicated to one specific aspect of it, or?
I think it's a really good question. It's I think one of the very important things is that every engineer needs to be in contact with customers, because the end goal of the product is to serve customers and make customers happy. So that's one thing. The other thing is to keep simplicity in mind. A product could be defined as a lot of things, but for us it's not a huge set of features. It's something that needs to have a kind of wow effect in few times. So it means we really consider about what could be achieved in a specific time, like in what can you achieve in 5 minutes. So we really think about the simplicity of the product.
Being linked with the client, of course, directly to feel the empowerment that to feel the ownership also you were talking about when you have the responsibility of making it happy, and the second one, which is the wow effect.
Yes, simplicity of the product. Because product need to be easy. We need to solve something, solve a pain. So it's not offering to our users thousands of features. It's really solving problems and making them achieve something great in no time. So
who does what in the 45 people at Algolia?
So there's a lot of different profiles.
I mean,
on the product, so we have designers. Design is really key in a very good product.
Yes.
Operational, so DevOps operations, because we have a lot of servers in a lot of locations, so it represents some time. We have backend engineers, so more on the API side. We have front-end engineers and a lot of different profiles that work on different pieces of the product, like specific integration for one platform. We really try to think in the point of view of the customer and try to solve their pain. So we are a bit agile on the way to solve problems and reorganize us depending on what we want to solve.
So you started in France, and you proved that you were looking for the market fit. It wasn't exactly what you were searching for. The answer you get, so you understood that there was a kind of problem in terms of product and positioning.
Yeah.
You moved to the US, and then there you realize that. You need to be more pushy. You need to totally switch the pitch to go for this API pitch only. Really simpler and flawless, and anyone could understand. And actually, all your community also of users were gathered in Silicon Valley. It was really easier, I guess.
Yeah, it's a big community there for API. So we have decided to move before going to the US, but then we discovered the way to sell in the US, and mainly the culture in the US, which is a culture of anything is possible. Whereas in Europe, it's more, you are more balanced and try to be realistic. In the US, you dream big and you try to project your company in something which is the sky is the limit more, which is a very different way to think and way to see your product. Everyone is positive. There is a very good trend in a positive way, which make you want to do something big.
Yeah. So you arrive, when you pitch, you realize that your pitch is really a low ambition.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I remember a lot of discussion with actually Paul Graham at YC when we were there. And he asked us a lot of questions about more what we want to do as a target, not exactly the product we have today, but the ambition of the company, because the product evolves a lot. Each month the product is different, but actually, what do we want to achieve? What is our plan? What is the thing that makes us super excited? And actually, it changed a lot of things for us on a daily basis, because we were not really thinking about what we want to do as a target, more what is the next iteration for next week or next month, and it changed a lot the ambition of the company. Totally, actually.
Yeah, because you knew you had an intuition of what you wanted to do, but you made it become real.
I think
you realize it. You dare thinking about it.
I think we were kind of limited. We were aware of the market or the potential of the idea, but we were more at a certain stage and want to project ourselves only like 1 year in advance. But we were not really, I think it's more a question of culture. We were not really projecting ourselves on the long term. It's more the European culture to do your proof, and when you are proof something, then you can project. It's really different in the US. You can really project yourself in a huge success, even if you have nothing, and if you have not built anything, which is a really different way to think.
And did you say, okay, so this is a very good learning from being there. And did you feel a kind of difference when it comes to your skills, to your French and European mindset? Did it added something there?
Yeah, I think the most important learning is you are in San Francisco. Even when you are in the taxi with your taxi driver, you pitch your company. And the guy is super optimistic and he tries to see you as the next Google. Or it's not something you will see in Europe at all. So it's more, you are always pitching, always in the mindset to project your company as a success.
So talking about toxicity, it's hard to say no to money when it's free, when it seems to be free.
It seems to be free. I think the seems is the most important thing. I think the better advice I could give to entrepreneurs is to do not take this money, especially
money from the government,
money for subvention for the government and all those things, because they always ask for paper. They always ask for things that does not make any sense for the product or for the customer or for the success. So they will ask you stupid things at the end.
You did it.
We have done it very early on. We have stopped it, and we are doing it again now. But the good thing is that we should not have spent any minute at the beginning of the company on it. It's more important to build a successful product, a successful team, and just be focused on that. If money is needed, just use a VC or an angel that will fund people and the project, and later on optimize with subvention and so on.
So what you say is that you have to be very radical at the beginning. Do not take this money because it's never free. Actually, you have to defocus, but you can leverage on this money once you have your traction, situation, growth.
Actually, people think it's for startup, but it's not for early stage startup. It's perfect for big companies, and you need to have a certain size to be able to do that. Otherwise, you just defocus all your energy on your team on something that does not make any impact. It's just some money, and it's not a huge amount of money. So it's better to be focused on what matters.
Did you feel like you had a kind of unfair advantage of being European also, being there?
I'm not sure it's an unfair advantage, because on the technical side there is very good engineers in the US and very good advantages there too. One of the things is that it's easier to build a very good tech team in Europe than in US because of the competition, especially in San Francisco. Yeah. US is very wide, but in San Francisco the competition is so rude that it's really difficult. So we kind of feel of an unfair advantage of the team we have built, which is so difficult to build in San Francisco. Yeah. And then an unfair advantage of looking for worldwide as day one. We know the market of France is too small for us. So we, as the beginning, as day one in the company, we were looking for a worldwide market. It's not the case in the US. They start to think on the US market, which is pretty big actually, and then they think later on a worldwide market. So it's a really different way to see the worldwide expansion.
Totally. And so since the very beginning you understood that your market was there, but you had to keep your engineering team in France because it was a better way?
It was a really, really important question for us, and I think we have changed our mind probably 10 times on this topic. There is advantage and drawback on both sides. Being in one location has advantages. Being on several locations has advantages too. And there is drawback in all of them. So at the end, we took the decision more on a rational way, like what is the one which is for us the more balance. So we had several things that for us was key, like we have international users. Being in one location does not really allow us to serve our user in a good way. We will always have time difference, time zone problems. So we have to be distributed in several offices. Mm-hmm. That said, when you are distributed, it's better to be in France and in San Francisco, mm-hmm. because we are able to use both a good property in both locations, like a very good engineering team in Europe, which is easier to recruit, and better marketing talent in San Francisco, and it's easier to build a worldwide strategy.
So what did you learn by having this split team, like one part here, one part there? How do you organize, and how the culture can really be mixed? Because you told me like you've been very inspired by the optimism of San Francisco. How do you keep it here? And how
it's a challenge. We iterate a lot on it, but one of the things which is key is to make people travel a lot. So we always have people from the French office in the US one and vice versa. We have a corporate flat in San Francisco and one in Paris. So we have people that travel a lot. We have an unlimited travel policy because moving in the other office is the best way to keep this culture. And having people, one team, one culture, and not two different offices with two cultures.
People can choose where they want to be?
Not at the beginning for recruitment reasons, mm-hmm. but at least it's doable, and they can move on a regular basis to the other office.
And so what's the onboarding when I'm recruited at Algolia? What happened?
So one of the things which is really important for us is that everyone knows all the team, all the different skills in the company. So when you join us, you have a kind of training of all the different topics. Even if you are an engineer and you join us, you will have a sales training. At least you will know what it is to pitch Algolia. You will have marketing notion and so on. So you will see all the different facets of the company and try to have the big picture of it.
How long is it?
It's at least 1 week. It can be 2 weeks for several people. I was discussing 2 weeks ago with a new employee. He told me that he has a better understanding of the company after 1 week than after 4 months in his previous company. So it means that we try to give them as many information as possible, to be as transparent as possible, to make them think about the company and the best for the company.
Let's talk about caring for your employees. Because when you started the Algolia, you wanted people to feel the ownership.
Yeah, to feel as it is their company. Yeah. At the end, it means a lot of things, but the most important thing we have learned is to iterate on the company as we iterate on the product. Each month the company has a different size, and we need to rethink the way we work together to make people keep this ownership. It's easy to work at 6 people and be sure everyone takes decision. It's less at 40. So rethinking the way we organize to make sure we keep this ownership and having people be in their company is something that we need to think every week.
How do you do?
So it's more a question of empowering people with a framework, and the framework is change adapted depending on the stage of the company, and keeping time to rethink about it. It's not something we design and that will be done for years. It's something that will need to be changed on a regular basis. So taking feedback from people, from the pain they can, or not the pain, but the frustration they can feel at one moment because the framework is no more adapted at the size of the company and updated, and make sure we can scale and keep this ownership.
Yeah, and do you do this kind of going outside together, eating together, having holidays together? Is it something part of the culture, or you split?
So there is a lot of things. Actually, when you move to the other office, you are in the corporate flat and you are not alone. You have with the team. So the fact that there is always a small group of the team which is in the other office, you share something outside of the work. You share 2-3 weeks with all those people 24/7, so it's different. So that's one thing. The other thing is that everyone lunch together every day. So we have a small garden in the office where people can lunch all together. So the idea is to share more than just 8 or 9 hours a day of work.
Would you say that you have your friend in your company?
Yes, definitely.
And did you choose the people through also this mindset thing? Like, are you?
It's more a culture fit, because ownership is really good when people like it. Some people prefer to receive the orders or execute something which is predefined. So it's a question of culture fit. You need to like this environment, and you can do something awesome in this environment if you like it.
How do you test this?
It's probably one of the most difficult things to test, because culture is a general thing and it's pretty difficult to discuss. So one of the things we have done in the iteration is to make people come in the office for 1 day during the interview process, so they can talk to people and see how people work together and present a topic to the team. So for each candidate at Algolia, they spend at least 1 day in the office before joining, so they can see the team, see the culture, because just talking about culture is not enough. You need to see it, to feel it.
Can you give us some more insight about your learnings on how to recruit in a great team like Algolia?
So one of the things we have not done in a very good way is to anticipate our growth. When you have a traction, it's pretty easy to know the situation you are today. But if the growth is coming quickly, you will need people to be able to just keep this growth and maintain it. and we have not recruited fast enough. And when the growth is going, you have more work and you need to recruit people. So definitely it's something that you need to anticipate, which is really needed to recruit before it's too late. And we have waited too much for a lot of profiles. So we had a lot of works, plus the need to recruit people. So it was.
Why it was so hard to recruit people?
It's a good question. I think you have always a lot of things to do. So if it's not your biggest priority, you never do it. Basically, at one moment you work on your product, you iterate on it, you sell to customer, you need to be focused on hiring.
If you were right to focus on the things that were the emergency, and finally you survived.
But it's a question of when hiring is the first priority. So this moment where you need to put hiring as the first priority is a pretty big challenge, because it's not easy to anticipate, but it's dangerous too to wait too much. So it's probably the thing we have not done correctly. We have waited too much before making.
What is at stake when you don't recruit? You mean you can burst, like you cannot bear so much?
Yeah, at the end, if you have more and more work, it means that everyone in the team will work close to 10 hours a day, including the weekend. So it's not the thing you want. You want to be in a better
better way to work.
Exactly, with less workload per people.
Do you think ambition is something that anyone can learn?
I think so.
Yeah, so you didn't have this ambition when you started.
Yeah.
You worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going to the US, you realized that actually you had to push it forward.
Yeah, and I think when you see initial traction and when you see this way to think in the US, you really think in a different way about what you could achieve. So it's just two different paths to the success. You can have, let's say, a good success or a great success or an awesome success. So it's just a matter of dreaming differently.
And what is your vision for you, for Algolia? What is your dream? What do you want to achieve?
So our dream, what we want to achieve, is to have a sustainable company that is profitable, that anyone is happy to join, and that solve a big problem. And the problem we are solving is really this problem of having a Google experience, a very good search experience in a product, in a website. And actually it's a market which is huge. It's a SaaSification of the search. So it's a very, very good market which is in creation at the same moment than us.